Right, welcome back to you. For our viewers who've just joined us, good afternoon to you from sport. Now, from being implicated in the social justice and nation-building hearings to announcing that he plans to resign as Proteas head coach after the T20 World Cup taking place in Australia in October, to now being named the head coach of India Premier League team Mumbai Indians. Of course, a lot has transpired in Mark Boucher's career in a short period of time. So now, who becomes head coach of the Proteas? Well, I genuinely don't know. But what I can tell you is that there is a lot of speculation and a lot of names making the rounds. For more on this, we're joined by cricket analyst Gift Xaka. But Gift, thank you so much for coming into the studio. It's always nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So let's talk about what I think possibly, and I'm going to tell you why I think that maybe they are the top three names that are making the rounds. There are many more coaches, but I see Mandla Mashimbi, which is the Titans' current head coach, Wandile Kwavu, who is the Lions' head coach, and then as well as Malibongwe Maketa, who is with Team SAA. Those are three of the many names that have been thrown around. Why do you think those names particularly are options?
If you look at Mandla, for an example, he is coaching a powerhouse at Titans. You've got all the national players there, and he's shown that he can handle such players by winning the 4-day competition last season. And he's been in and out of the SA setup when Mark Boucher was calling him to come and help, you know, where we had some of the coaches absent. So Mandla has shown that he's got a pedigree of handling international players. But the question is, can he handle the coaching at international cricket? Well, I think he's ready. I think he's done it. He's done the hard yards throughout the years. So I think he's the number one candidate, and he deserves it.
And with you saying that you think that you are ready, if we look at the makeup of the Proteas, a lot of the players, if you look at which franchises they're coming from, they're Titans from Titans. They're also from the Lions franchise as well. So I mean, which is where Wandile is from. Yes,
Wandile as well. He's done well. He's worked with Enoch before. That might put him at an advantage because Enoch knows how he works, and Wandile also is one of the coaches that, you know, he'll get there very early and leave there very late. He's a coach that's on point as well with some of the things, you know, preparations and all of that. He is a hard-working coach. Yes, his working relationship with the Proteas captain can come into, you know, positive for South Africa because they know each other, him and Temba, at the moment, and that can work. Look at how Riza flourished under him. I mean, Riza has been scoring runs, and, you know, it will be good for South Africa to have such a coach that has also, you know, those relationships with players, those special relationships.
Most definitely. And then the last option that we had there actually on that graphic that our viewers, okay, I don't think it is up any longer, but the last one that was there is, well, actually we've got Wandile last, and is Malibongwe. That is the other one that we haven't touched on, of course, being part of Team SAA. I don't think people realize how important also SAA is.
Well, Mali is also another one that has also done the hard yards. He's been with the Warriors, you know. He's been in the SAA before. He's been in the SA Proteas team when they appointed Otis Gibson. He was one of the coaches in the setup. So Mali knows what's happening. He's been in England recently. If you've seen when SA was playing test against the English guys, he was there. So he knows what's happening in and around that change room, and he knows the system. He knows the system very well. So I think also it's the first time that South Africa has such a rich talent of coaches in a while, and if you look at them, it's a sensitive issue. If you look at how people were questioning how Mark Boucher was appointed and how Otis Gibson was appointed, so it's now becoming a very sensitive issue where CSA has to be very careful on who do they appoint. But the coaches that we've mentioned and many more that we haven't mentioned, they all are, you know, qualified on merits. They've done well. They've done the hard yards. So it's good for the country.
Do they have a level 3?
All of them, they've got level 3. I think some of them, they might be a level 4 coaches.
I was joking.
Which is awesome.
So, of course, there are other names: Imran Khan, Robin Peterson, Ashwal Prince as well. Can we start with Ashwal actually, because Ashwal had left to Bangladesh and when he came back, right?
Yes.
Firstly, why do you think that he would be an option? And number two, even if he were an option, wouldn't it seem like a conciliation prize, sort of, after all of the drama that unfolded at the social justice and nation building hearings, after all of the things that were said there, would it not seem sort of like if they were to choose him, we are doing you a favor?
Not really. If you look at Ashwell, all the players that come under, yes, he hasn't won trophies, that might count against him, but he's a street smart coach. He's a hard coach. He's also more of a betting coach, which is a problem at the moment for the Proteas. So Ashwell also is another candidate that might surprise a few, but at this stage I'd say he's an outsider. But he's what we're looking for in terms of, you know, betting long in a test cricket. You saw the recent test series. I mean, it finishes within 3-4 days, and I mean, it starts 2 days later, but it still finishes before the 5th day. So it's one of those things that I think Ashwell can bring into bet long, bet time when it comes to test cricket, and is more of a betting coach, and that will benefit South Africa. I mean, the young players that are coming through, they can benefit a lot from Ashwell.
And then Imran and Robin?
Imran, yes, outside chance, but he's done well in KZN. It's not easy to coach there. It's not easy to get results there. But again, he's produced. I mean, he's also handled Proteas. I mean, Kaya Zondo, Andile Petluwayo. So it's not easy. But I'd say he also has an outside chance. But I don't see him being considered now. Maybe in years to come, he might be a candidate as well. Yeah.
We're running out of time, but I quickly want to ask you two things. Out of all the names that we mentioned now, and one of them that we didn't mention who also was part of the list, or rather part of the names that are going around on social media and what people are talking about, is Lance Klusener. So out of all of these names, who would you pick? Who would you say has the best chance to be named the next Proteas head coach, and why?
I'm caught between Mandla because he's been in the setup and Boucher has pulled him in. Mali has been also in the setup and he works well with the players and players relate to him. So between those two, I think one of them might get it, but I think the other one will be pulled in as an assistant coach. But again, if I can take you back a bit, if Cricket South Africa wants, to go back and say we've made a mistake previously by appointing Otis Gibson. If you remember, Jeffrey Toyana was a leading candidate. He's another one that's also, on the sidelines. I wonder what would happen if Jeffrey puts his application and say, look, I'm putting my hand up. I'm also available. I've missed out, on such under grey conditions last time when Otis was appointed. So. It's a tough one for CSA, but it's good. It's a good headache to have as a country. All those are highly qualified coaches, good coaches, and it's a sensitive issue at the moment, and the government is also watching. So, yeah.
They're very, very good coaches, and it is nice to see that the mix is a group that is they are people of colour, and they aren't just there for quota. Because I hate this quota thing where numbers are just put in just for the sake of the colour of your skin. These coaches are actually people who have the necessary qualifications. Very quickly, before we go, you mentioned the batting issue. What do you think we need to do when it comes to the pipeline? Because if you look at the CSA scorecard, remember the CSA scorecard when they judge the franchises rather, I'm losing my English, the franchises. Of course, they look at governance, they look at finance, as well as cricket operations. And within cricket operations, there is a score specifically for batting. And what we have noticed is that a lot of the younger black players would rather opt to bowl than to bat. I understand it probably is cheaper also, but what are some of the other reasons that can help them fix that with someone like an Ashwell Prince, who is almost a specialist when it comes to batting?
Yeah, look, it starts with the hubs. If you go to your hubs, you send those specialists to hubs. You can't just throw a hub coach under the bus and say you're going to coach 5 or 6 teams and you must produce bowlers, batters, wicket keepers from that. If we are serious about producing black African batters, we need to send those specialist coaches like Ashwell Prince, Neil McKenzie's to those hubs all over the country and work with those identified black African batters. That's where it starts. And then it will start filtering to your professional setup and to the Proteas. Then we won't have this headache if Temba is out, if Kaya is out, who is next? Yes, we might have your Sibonelo Makanya, you might have your Lisiba Ngwepe, but who is next after those guys? So it starts at the hubs where we can say, oh, there's a Mandla Hlatshwayo somewhere that we haven't heard of. There, there's this guy from Limpopo, there's this one from this province, which can be work well for the Proteas in the future, but it has to start from the hub. We can't just start at the top. It has to start at the bottom where we get lots of black African batters being given an opportunity to express themselves and given an opportunity at a professional level.
100%. So as you heard him say, it has to start at the hubs. And as you've heard, Mark Boucher is going to be leaving the Proteas after the T20 World Cup. And we are talking about who the next head coach is going to be. Many possibilities. That was cricket analyst Gift Xaka having a great chat with us. Always nice having him here. Do stay with us.